They called themselves ALPHAS, the biggest, loudest, and cockiest bodybuilders in the city gym. Every day they flexed, shouted, and laughed at anyone who looked smaller than them. But today, someone new walked in. No camera crew, no fancy gear, just a calm man in a plain black hoodie, carrying a small gym bag. His name, Anatoly, the man who turns monsters into students. What happened next for 1 hour straight left every ego in that gym completely shattered. Beat drop, camera pans to Anatoly tying his wrist wraps. The gym was alive with noise, plates clanging, grunts echoing, and loud music blasting through the speakers. A group of massive bodybuilders stood near the mirrors, flexing between sets, admiring themselves like they were posing for a magazine cover. "Bro, no one lifts heavier than us here," one of them laughed, slamming down a barbell. Another smirked. "Yeah, this gym's full of wannabes. We're the real deal." Then the door opened. A tall, quiet man in a plain black hoodie walked in. No noise, no arrogance, just calm steps and a neutral face. His shoes squeaked softly on the polished floor as he looked around once, scanning the place before heading toward the dumbbell rack. The receptionist whispered, "Who's that guy?" "Dunno," another trainer said, shrugging. Never seen him before, but there was something about the man's posture, steady, focused, and too relaxed. It wasn't the energy of a beginner. It was the confidence of someone who had nothing to prove. He placed his gym bag down, unzipped it slowly, and pulled out a pair of old wrist wraps, the same kind that looked like they had seen wore. One of the bodybuilders, a tall, tattooed guy named Vince, scoffed loudly. "Yo, hoodie guy? You lost, bro? This ain't a yoga class." His friends burst out laughing. Anatoly didn't respond. He simply sat on the bench, adjusted the weights, and picked up 2 dumbbells, 60 kilograms each. Vince raised his eyebrows. "No warm-up? You're gonna snap your arms off, dude." But Anatoly stayed silent. He exhaled once, and then started curling. The entire room went quiet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each rep was smooth, controlled, and terrifyingly strong. His biceps didn't shake. His breathing stayed calm. His eyes, locked on his reflection, focused like a sniper. After 12 reps, he placed the dumbbells back. Gently, the clang echoed like thunder. Vince's grin faded. "No way." Those were 60s. The other bodybuilders exchanged glances. A few trainers had even stopped their sessions to watch. Anatoly finally looked at Vince and spoke, his voice calm, almost polite. "You said no one lifts heavier here, right?" Then he smiled, just slightly, and walked toward the squat rack. The gym that used to be full of noise suddenly went silent. Every eye followed him. Every ego stood alert. And for the first time that day, the alphas of the gym felt something they hadn't felt in years. Doubt. The air in the gym had changed. You could almost feel it, like static before a storm. Anatoly stood near the squat rack now, wrapping the old, worn straps around his wrists. The plates clanked as he slid them onto the barbell, one after another. After another, by the time he was done, the bar weighed over 260 kilograms, 573 pounds. Vince and his crew stood nearby, pretending not to watch, but their eyes couldn't leave the man in the hoodie. "Bro, no way he's gonna squat that," whispered Troy, one of Vince's buddies. "Yeah," Vince snorted. "That bar's gonna crush him." A few other members gathered quietly, phones half raised. Everyone was expecting a fail, maybe even a hospital trip, but Anatoly stepped under the bar like a man taking a calm walk. He didn't yell. He didn't hype himself up. He just took a deep breath, locked in his stance, and descended. Slow, controlled, perfect form, back straight, heels grounded, no shaking. Then he rose. 1 rep, 2, 3, 4. By the 5th, even the trainers were whispering. Vince's smirk had completely vanished. His jaw tightened, his eyes fixed. "No, wait, who is this guy?" Anatoly racked the bar after 8 flawless reps, stepped back, and simply wiped his hands with a towel. No smile, no pride, just calm focus. He noticed Vince watching him, so he nodded slightly, as if inviting him. Vince laughed nervously. "You want me to try that weight?" Anatoly said softly. "You said you were the strongest, right?" That one sentence hit harder than any punch. The crowd went silent again. Vince looked around, his ego burning under the weight of all those eyes. Yeah, fine. Let's go. Loaded up, he walked toward the rack, puffing his chest out, adjusting his belt. His friends started cheering. Let's go, Big V. Show this guy who runs the gym. He stepped under the same bar, tried to brace, and lowered himself. Halfway down, his knees shook. His face turned red. The bar trembled. Then clang. He dropped it onto the safety bars, nearly falling forward. The gym gasped. Vince stumbled up, breathing hard, forcing a laugh. Hey, I wasn't warmed up. Anatoly tilted his head. His tone stayed calm, but every word landed like a dagger. Warm-up isn't the problem. Discipline is a collective hush spread through the gym. Even Vince's own friends stayed quiet. Anatoly walked past him, heading to the bench press area, still silent, still focused. The alphas who once ruled the gym were now whispering, eyes glued to the stranger. Someone muttered, "Man's built different." And just as Anatoly loaded another barbell, the clock on the wall ticked past 10:12 a.m. He'd only been there 12 minutes, but in that short time, he had already started breaking egos. The tension in the gym felt heavier than any barbell. Vince sat quietly in the corner, wiping sweat from his forehead, pretending to scroll through his phone, but his pride was bleeding. Meanwhile, Anatoly walked toward the bench press station. The air in the gym had changed. You could almost feel it, like static before. Vince and his crew stood nearby, pretending not to watch, but their eyes couldn't leave the man in the hoodie. "Bro, no way he's gonna squat that," whispered Troy, one of Vince's buddies. "Yeah," Vince snorted. "That bar's gonna crush him." A few other members gathered quietly, phones half raised. Everyone was expecting a fail, maybe even a hospital trip, but Anatoly stepped under the bar like a man taking a calm walk. He didn't yell. He didn't hype himself up. He just took a deep breath, locked in his stance, and descended. Slow, controlled, perfect form, back straight, heels grounded, no shaking. Then he rose. 1 rep, 2, 3, 4. By the 5th, even the trainers were whispering. Vince's smirk had completely vanished. His jaw tightened, his eyes fixed. No way, who is this guy? Anatoly racked the bar after 8 flawless reps, stepped back and simply wiped his hands with a towel. No smile, no pride, just calm focus. He noticed Vince watching him, so he nodded slightly, as if inviting him. Vince laughed nervously. "You want me to try that weight?" Anatoly said softly. "You said you were the strongest, right?" That one sentence hit harder than any punch. The crowd went silent again. Vince looked around, his ego burning under the weight of all those eyes. "Yeah, fine. Let's go." Loaded up, he walked toward the rack, puffing his chest out, adjusting his belt. His friends started cheering. "Let's go, Big V. Show this guy who runs the gym." He stepped under the same bar, tried to brace, and lowered himself. Halfway down, his knees shook. His face turned red. The bar trembled. Then clang. He dropped it onto the safety bars, nearly. He didn't ask for help. He didn't even look around. He just began loading plates. Calm, slow, deliberate. 2 plates per side. Then 3. Then 4. 180 kilograms, 397 pounds. Enough to humble most lifters. "Yo, hold up," said one of the biggest guys there. A massive bodybuilder with arms thicker than Anatoly's legs. His name was Rico, known as the bench king of the gym. Rico laughed, shaking his head. "Bro, that's my bench. You sure you can handle that weight?" Anatoly glanced at him once, silent, unreadable, then nodded slightly. Rico smirked. 8, let's see what you got, Mr. Hoodie." The small crowd started gathering again. Phones were out. Some whispered, "That's Rico, the record holder here," others said. "This guy's about to get crushed." But Anatoly lay down on the bench, gripped the bar, and exhaled deeply. Silence. Then the bar moved. Down, pause, up. 1, down, pause, up. 2. By rep number 5, Rico's smirk disappeared. Anatoly's elbows stayed tight, form perfect, breathing controlled. 6, 7, 8. He re-racked the bar like it was nothing and sat up without even panting. The crowd started whispering. Someone muttered, "No way. 180 kilograms like it's 60. Rico blinked, forcing a laugh. "All right, not bad, bro. But that's warm-up weight for me." He stepped up, laid down, and grabbed the same bar. The room went silent again. Rico unracked it, lowered the bar, and on the third rep, the weight began to tremble. His arms quivered, and his spotter quickly grabbed the bar before it dropped. "Yo, I wasn't focused," Rico grunted, sitting up. "Let's add 10 more. I'll smoke it." But Anatoly just looked at him and said quietly, "The bar doesn't care if you're focused. It only respects control." The words hit like a bomb. Even the trainers stopped what they were doing. Rico's friends stared in silence. Anatoly didn't smile. He just stood, added 10 more kilos, and went for another set. This time to 190 kilograms, 419 pounds. No pre-workout. No screaming. No hype. He lifted it like air. 4 clean reps. Then stood up, grabbed his towel, and said softly, "You're strong when no one's watching. That's real strength." The gym fell completely silent. Rico looked down, breathing hard, eyes darting around, embarrassed. The crowd slowly backed away, whispering among themselves. Vince muttered from the corner, "What the hell is this guy made of?" The cameras were now all on Anatoly, secretly recording, capturing every rep, every word, but Anatoly didn't care. He wasn't there for attention. He was there for something else, something deeper. The clock hit 10:27 a.m. Only 27 minutes had passed, and 2 of the gym's biggest alphas had already fallen. But the next one wouldn't go down quietly, because the next challenger wasn't just strong. He was furious. The gym's mood had changed completely. People who once laughed loudly now whispered in corners. Even the trainers had stopped shouting cues. Everyone's attention was locked on the man in the black hoodie, but not everyone was quiet. At the far end of the gym, a deep voice boomed. "Yo, what's all this drama about some random dude lifting weights?" Heads turned. It was Marcus, a 6 feet 4 inches mountain of muscle, easily one of the most intimidating men in the city. He wasn't just strong, he lived for attention. Marcus dropped his shaker bottle, cracking a grin. "So this guy, Anatoly, right? Thinks he's special?" "Bro, I've been lifting since before he learned how to tie those old wraps," the crowd murmured. Vince and Rico stayed silent. They knew what was coming. Anatoly looked up from adjusting his straps. His expression didn't change, calm, neutral. He didn't say a word. Marcus flexed dramatically, slapping his chest, making the mirrors shake. "Come on, bro. You're hiding under that hoodie like some mystery man. What are you scared of? A little spotlight?" A few nervous laughs spread around. Someone whispered, "Marcus loves humiliating people." But Anatoly simply replied, "Spotlight doesn't make strength. It exposes it." Marcus froze for a second. The words hit deeper than he expected. But then he forced a laugh. "All right, philosopher. Let's see how much your wisdom benches." He pointed at the incline press station nearby. "We go head to head. Whoever fails first leaves the gym." Gasps. Phones went up again. The crowd circled around the benches. Anatoly didn't argue. He just nodded once. Marcus smirked, chalking his hands. "You first, Professor." Anatoly walked over, set up the bench, and loaded it quietly, 120 kilograms, 265 pounds, on incline. He lay back, steadied his breath, and began. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect reps, smooth, controlled. Marcus whistled. "Cute, my warm-up." Anatoly didn't respond. He added another. 10 kilograms per side. 140 kilograms, 308 pounds, and repeated. Still perfect form. Still no shaking. By the 8th rep, a few people began clapping quietly. Marcus laughed louder now, hiding his nerves. All right, enough warm-up. Let's see how the big boys lift." He laid down, adjusted the bar, and pushed up the same 140 kilograms. First rep, okay. Second, shaky. Third, ugly. By the 4th, his arms trembled violently. He yelled, "Spot me!" But before anyone could react, the bar dropped back onto the hooks with a deafening clang. The gym went silent. Marcus sat up, red-faced, breathing hard, sweat dripping down his forehead. Anatoly looked at him, no smirk, no pride, just quiet composure. He placed his towel beside him and said softly, "You live for noise. I live for silence." The line hit like thunder. Even Marcus couldn't speak. He just stared, humiliated, yet strangely respectful. The crowd erupted in whispers. Someone muttered, "That's the third one. He's untouchable." Anatoly didn't care. He just picked up his bottle, drank calmly, and moved toward the deadlift platform. The gym clock showed 10:39 a.m., 39 minutes in, and 3 egos had fallen. But this time, the fourth challenge was already waiting. And this man wasn't just big, he was angry. The sound of iron echoed through the gym again, but this time it wasn't from Anatoly. At the deadlift platform stood Derek, a heavyweight competitor, massive, tattooed, and known for his brutal attitude. He was the type who didn't talk, he growled. Everyone knew Derek. He was the silent monster of the gym, but right now, he wasn't silent. He'd been watching Anatoly dominate every challenge, and his ego was burning. He slammed a loaded 300-kilogram, 661 pounds, barbell onto the floor, making the ground tremble. "Let's see if Hoodie Man can pull real weight," Derek barked. "No baby dumbbells. No soft squats. Let's talk power," the crowd murmured in anticipation. Even Vince and Marcus moved closer, curiosity replacing their humiliation. Anatoly stood a few meters away, adjusting his wrist straps again. He didn't even glance at Derek.com. Derek smirked. "What's wrong, man? Afraid of a real barbell?" Anatoly looked at him calmly and said, "Strength isn't proven by shouting. It's proven by control." The crowd fell silent. Derek cracked his neck. "Then control this." He stepped forward, gripped the bar, and with a primal scream ripped 300 kilograms off the ground. "One clean pull," the crowd roared. He dropped the bar and turned toward Anatoly. "Your turn, Zen Master." Anatoly slowly walked up to the bar. No chalk, no yelling, no hype, just stillness. He tightened his straps, inhaled deeply, and then lifted. The bar rose smoothly, like it weighed nothing. He held it at the top for a few seconds, completely steady, then lowered it slowly. "Controlled all the way down?" The crowd gasped. Even Derek blinked in disbelief. Anatoly didn't say a word. He added another, 20 kilograms, 44 pounds, bringing it to 320 kilograms, 705 pounds. "Wait," someone whispered. "He's going heavier?" Derek laughed nervously. "No way, he's bluffing." But Anatoly gripped the bar again, set his stance, and pulled. The metal screamed. His back stayed flat, his core locked. He lifted it, held it, 5 seconds, then lowered it again, perfectly. The silence in the gym was deafening. Anatoly stood up, unclipped his straps, and looked at Derek. His voice was soft, almost too calm. "Ego lifts break your back. Discipline builds it." That one sentence echoed through the gym like thunder. Derek took a step back, his mouth half open. He looked down at the bar, the same one that had just humbled him. For the first time in years, Derek nodded slowly. "Respect, man. Serious respect." Anatoly simply nodded back, no smile, no pride, and walked toward the cable station to stretch. Everyone else stayed frozen, like they were still trying to process what they'd just witnessed. A young trainer whispered, "He's not just strong. He's in complete control, like nothing can break him." The clock hit 10:47 a.m., 47 minutes in, 4 egos shattered. But as Anatoly was about to leave the deadlift platform, a new voice called out, smooth, confident, almost mocking, "Impressive, old man. But can you keep up with speed?" The crowd turned. It wasn't a bodybuilder this time. It was a fitness influencer, the kind who lived for cameras, followers, and viral clips. And he was about to learn the hardest lesson of all. That strength without humility means nothing. Would you like me to continue with part 6, where the influencer tries to humiliate Anatoly on camera, but ends up recording the most viral and humbling moment in gym history? The influencer's name was Zach Steele. With 1.2 million followers on Instagram, Zach wasn't known for strength. He was known for flash, perfect hair, flawless tan, camera crew always following him. And right now, his phone was already live. "Yo, what's up, everyone?" Zach shouted, pointing the camera toward Anatoly. "So, apparently this old school dude's been embarrassing people here all morning. Let's see if he can hang with me, the king of explosive training. The gym lights reflected off his sweat as he strutted toward Anatoly, flashing his fake smile. Anatoly barely looked up from adjusting the weights on the cable machine. Zach circled him, taunting. Come on, man. You've done your heavy, slow stuff. Let's see some speed. Let's do a burnout set. 100 push-ups, no rest. You in? The crowd was watching again. Phones were out. Comments were flooding Zach's live stream. This old dude's gonna get smoked. Zach's too fast, bro. Who even is this hoodie guy? Anatoly quietly nodded. All right, but you go first. Zach grinned wide. You're about to witness greatness, people. He dropped to the floor and started pumping out push-ups. Fast, flashy, sloppy. He shouted between breaths, "Let's go!" This is power, baby. By rep 40, his arms started shaking. By rep 70, his form was gone. At 85, he collapsed, breathing like he'd run a marathon. The gym clapped politely, but most people looked unimpressed. Zach rolled onto his back, panting. Let's see the hoodie man try that. Anatoly didn't speak. He just set his phone face down on the bench, no camera, no audience, and went down quietly. Push-up 1, push-up 2, push-up 10 point. Each one perfect, smooth, rhythmic, controlled breathing. No noise, no ego. By rep 80, the entire gym was silent again. By 100, people started whispering. By 120, even Zach's livestream viewers were flooding the comments with shock emojis. He didn't stop until 150 point. Then he stood up calmly, wiped his hands, and said softly, "Speed without control is chaos." Zach stared at him, speechless. The phone in his hand was still streaming, and thousands of viewers had just watched him get destroyed live. The comments exploded. Bro just ended Zach's career. That wasn't a prank. That was a lesson. Who is this guy? Zach slowly turned off the stream, his voice shaking. Man, I didn't expect that. You're something else. Anatoly nodded, his eyes calm. No, I'm just consistent. He turned away, walking back to re-rack his weights. As he did, the entire gym, the same people who mocked him an hour ago, stepped aside quietly, giving him space. The clock hit 10:55 a.m., 55 minutes since he'd entered. 5 egos destroyed, 5 lessons taught. But as Anatoly reached for his bottle, a new voice echoed from the office upstairs. It was the gym manager, Anatoly Knight. So it's really you. The room froze. The influencers, trainers, and bodybuilders all turned, confused. Who was this man? That even the manager knew by name? The moment the manager's voice echoed across the gym, the atmosphere froze. Every head turned toward the glass office on the upper floor. And the man standing there was Mr. Reynolds, the gym's owner, a former national powerlifting champion, respected and feared by everyone in the fitness community. He started walking down the metal stairs slowly, each step echoing like a drumbeat. The silence was so thick you could hear the hum of the air conditioning. When Reynolds reached the floor, his eyes went straight to Anatoly. He smiled, not in mockery, but in disbelief. I didn't think it was really you. The crowd exchanged confused glances. Vince whispered, "Wait. He knows this guy?" Rico frowned. "What's happening right now?" Reynolds stepped closer. "You vanished, Anatoly? Years ago. Everyone thought you retired after the accident?" Gasps spread through the gym. "Accident?" Anatoly said nothing, just kept his eyes down, calm as always. Reynolds continued, his tone shifting, part awe, part guilt. For those who don't know, this man isn't just strong. He's the Anatoly Knight, the former world record holder, the trainer of champions, the man who walked away from fame. After saving his trainee's life and losing everything in the process, the crowd was silent. Even Zach lowered his camera. Reynolds sighed. "You trained my brother once. He told me what you said before you left." He looked Anatoly in the eyes. "Strength is earned." When no one's watching, a heavy silence filled the air. For the first time, even the arrogant lifters, Vince, Rico, Marcus, looked down, ashamed. Anatoly finally spoke, his voice deep but gentle. "I didn't come here to compete. I came to see what strength has become." He looked around the gym, the mirrors, the ring lights, the phones pointed at every lift. All I saw were egos, noise, people chasing claps instead of control. Zach swallowed hard. "So, This was all a test? Anatoly nodded slightly. Not a test? A reminder. He turned to the others, Vince, Rico, Marcus, Derek, each of them silent, humbled. You lift heavy, but you crumble fast. Because you train your muscles, not your mind. The words hung in the air like thunder. Reynolds crossed his arms, eyes glistening. You haven't changed, Anatoly. Still teaching lessons the hard way? Anatoly smiled faintly for the first time. It's the only way that works. The clock on the wall showed 10:59 a.m., 59 minutes since he walked in. 1 minute left before the hour ended, but there was still one final challenge, one more ego to face, because standing in the back of the gym was someone no one expected, a young man, maybe in his early 20s, built strong, confident, but angry. He stepped forward, eyes fixed on Anatoly, and the way he said his name made the entire gym go quiet again. Dad. The gym went completely silent. Even the hum of the lights seemed to fade as the young man stepped forward. He looked like Anatoly, the same eyes, the same posture, the same calmness buried under anger, but there was pain in his voice. Dad, you really came back here? After all these years? The crowd froze. People looked at one another in disbelief. Wait, his son? Someone whispered. Vince muttered, You're kidding me. Anatoly slowly turned, locking eyes with him. For a moment, time felt like it stopped. He hadn't seen his son, Leo Knight, in nearly 5 years. The last time they spoke was the night Anatoly left everything behind. Leo's jaw clenched. You taught everyone else about strength, but when Mom needed you, you disappeared. You call that discipline? The gym gasped. Reynolds took a step forward, trying to calm him, but Anatoly raised his hand gently. No, Anatoly said softly. Let him speak. Leo's voice shook with rage. I grew up in your shadow. Every coach, every gym, every person, they all compared me to you. And today I came here to prove I'm stronger. Not to you, to myself. The words hung in the air, raw and real. Anatoly's expression didn't change, but his eyes softened. Then show me. Leo walked straight to the deadlift platform, the same one that had humbled Derek earlier. He chalked his hands, jaw tight, and loaded 310 kilograms, 683 pounds. Don't spot me, he said coldly. I don't need help. The crowd was tense. Zach, Vince, Rico, everyone was silent. Watching this strange, emotional duel unfold, Leo took his stance, roared, and pulled. The bar moved. Slowly, painfully. His face twisted, veins bulged. The weight reached his knees, then stopped. He dropped it, falling to one knee, gasping. The gym was dead quiet. Anatoly walked over, not mocking, not angry, just calm. He placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. You don't fail because you're weak. You fail because you fight alone. Leo looked up, eyes wet. You left me alone? Anatoly nodded. His voice cracked for the first time. I did, and I've regretted it every day since. He turned toward the crowd. I didn't come here to prove I'm stronger than anyone. I came here hoping to find him. Everyone's heart sank. The gym prank that started with laughter and arrogance had turned into something deeply human. Anatoly placed his hands on the bar. Let's lift it together. Leo hesitated, then nodded. Both father and son took position. Their grips locked. Their eyes met. They pulled together. The bar rose higher, higher, until it reached full lockout. The gym erupted in cheers. But this time, not because of strength, because of something deeper. Leo dropped the bar and fell into his father's arms, breathing hard. Anatoly whispered, Real strength is lifting others when they fall. Even Reynolds wiped a tear from his eye. Vince and Rico looked away, ashamed. Zach lowered his phone, no longer filming. The clock on the wall ticked to 11 a.m., exactly 1 hour. The ultimate gym prank had turned into the ultimate lesson. But the story wasn't done yet, because as Anatoly prepared to leave, someone from the crowd made a move that would change everything. The barbell still rattled faintly on the floor. Echoes of the father and son lift still vibrating through the gym. For the first time all morning, people weren't flexing, or shouting, or showing off. They were silent, humbled. Stood with his son, one hand on Leo's shoulder. You don't owe me anything, he said quietly. But I'll be here, If you ever need a spot again. Leo nodded, his anger replaced by something softer, forgiveness trying to find its way in. Maybe next time, he whispered, we train together. Anatoly smiled faintly. That's all I ever wanted. The crowd watched in awe. Even the influencers had turned their phones off, except one. In the corner, Zach Steele, the same influencer Anatoly had humbled earlier, was holding his phone low. He wasn't live streaming this time, he was recording quietly, not to embarrass Anatoly, but because he knew this was something the world needed to see, he captured every word, every handshake, every hug. When Anatoly turned to leave, Zach approached him, guilt heavy in his voice. Sir, I recorded that last part. I swear, I didn't mean to invade your moment. People need to hear what you said. Anatoly looked at him, calm, thoughtful, and nodded. If it helps someone train their mind, not just their body, let them hear it. Zach exhaled, eyes shining. Thank you, man. For real. Anatoly picked up his old gym bag, the same one from the beginning, and walked toward the exit. No applause, no cheers, just silence, the kind that comes after a storm has passed. The door closed behind him. A moment later, Zach posted the clip with the caption, "He destroyed egos, but rebuilt hearts." Within an hour, the video exploded, millions of views. Thousands of comments. This wasn't a prank. This was art. I'm crying. That last line hit different. Who is this man? We need more people like him. He lifted more than weights. He lifted souls. By evening, hashtag Anatoly Night was trending worldwide. Clips flooded TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, showing the quiet man in the hoodie walking calmly through chaos, humbling giants with silence. Even major fitness pages posted it. Discipline greater than ego, control greater than strength. But Anatoly never saw any of it. He was sitting alone in a small cafe, his hoodie still on, sipping tea quietly. No one around him recognized him. He looked peaceful, almost content. The waiter approached. Sir, you're Anatoly, right? The guy from that video? Anatoly looked up, smiling slightly. Video? The waiter turned his phone around, and there it was. The moment Anatoly and Leo lifted the bar together, playing across the screen, with millions of hearts floating in the corner. Anatoly chuckled softly and whispered to himself, Guess the world finally remembered what strength really means. The waiter asked, What does it mean, sir? Anatoly looked out the window, where the sun was setting over the city, and said, To lift in silence, to grow without applause, and to never let ego weigh more than the bar. The next day, the same gym was packed again, but this time something had changed. The mirrors were quieter, the grunts were fewer, and written across the whiteboard at the entrance, in bold marker, were 6 simple words. Train hard, stay humble. Be Anatoly. 1 week later, the gym that once echoed with arrogance now felt different. Posters of mass monsters had been replaced with quotes about discipline. Every mirror carried a message in marker. Don't flex your muscles, flex your character. And right under that line, a small signature. AK. Nobody saw Anatoly return again. But his story had already taken a life of its own. The video had crossed 50 million views. Clips of him calmly humbling bodybuilders were being shared across continents. Coaches played his quotes before training sessions. Parents showed his words to their kids. Even professional athletes began tagging each other saying, Remember Anatoly's rule? Strength isn't loud? Meanwhile, Leo, his son, had changed too. He was now the one opening the gym early every morning. No music, no crowd, just the sound of iron and breath. He trained in silence, the way his father always did. One evening, as Leo locked up the gym, a delivery guy walked in holding a small brown box. Delivery for Leo Knight. Leo frowned. Who's it from? The guy shrugged. No sender name. Just initials, a K? Leo's heart skipped a beat. He took the box, slowly opened it, and inside, neatly folded, was the same black hoodie his father wore that day. On top of it, a note written in calm, simple handwriting. Asterisk, you've lifted the weight I couldn't. Keep the gym alive, not for muscles, but for men who've forgotten what strength means. Asterisk. Dad. Leo stood there, frozen, eyes burning. He looked around the gym, every machine, every rack, every chalk mark, all the places where ego once screamed, now silent. He unfolded the hoodie, pressed it to his chest, and whispered, "I'll make you proud, old man." The next morning, Leo walked into the gym wearing that hoodie. People turned their heads. They all knew what it meant. He didn't shout. He didn't flex. He just smiled and nodded, the same calm, humble look his father had. And when new lifters walked in, cocky, loud, showing off, he didn't scold them. He simply walked over, placed a hand on the bar, and said softly, "Let me show you how Anatoly used to lift." Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and one by one, the gym changed. It became more than a place to build bodies. It became a place to build men. A year later, a camera crew visited the gym to make a documentary. They asked Leo, "Do you ever miss your father?" He smiled, looking at the chalked handprints still on the wall. "Miss him?" He never left. He's right here, in every set, every lift, every silence before the rep. The screen faded to black. Then, Anatoly's final quote appeared in bold white letters. "Real strength isn't lifting weights. It's lifting hearts and never letting them fall." Soft piano fades out. The video ends.